to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two cousins who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Monica.
And I still hate mirrored cameras. Sorry, I can't get over how stupid I look. How was your week, Monica?
It was fine. Did a lot of... I did stuff this week. Like I went swimming because it was hot here. I went shopping. I got my nails done yesterday. For those of you who are watching the video, I have long nails now. And I was just telling Mary Kate, my boyfriend had like a work thing at a speedway out here. And we just saw some really awesome fireworks last night. It was great. And then I fell asleep in the car promptly afterwards.
My week. So, like we told you last weekend, my grandma was in town. And so we were, like, actually doing things and whatnot to, like, because my cousin came with her and he hasn't been up here since he was, like, 7. So we were, like, taking him places. And then there was a drive-by shooting on my block at 11:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. No one was hurt. I keep telling the story and forgetting the disclaimer that nobody was hurt because I tell the story and I'm like telling it and then everybody's like, is everyone okay? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, no, everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. No one is dead. No one was shot. A house was the only thing that got hit. The problem was my grandma was the only one outside. She was the only witness to the drive-by shooting.
So Joanne must have loved that.
Oh my gosh, she was shaking. It was poor thing. It was so stressful. Like
I was glad she didn't end up getting
for sure.
hit
When
or
when the police went to interview her, she said, "Please don't call me." But so there was that, and so we were all very shaken up this week. It was a rough day, and then Wednesday when we were all trying to like recoup from the fact that we like were staying up till 1:30 in the morning talking to police officers. My sister and the baby showed up to surprise us. So, my niece is here. It was on her 6-month birthday.
Aww.
It was very, very exciting. So yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy week. So much happening. Like, so much happening to the point where I think on Tuesday, I didn't do the Instagram post till like 8 o'clock at night or something stupid because I literally was like, oh, right, I'm supposed to do work.
Yeah.
But so my sister's in town for 2 weeks, so if the Instagram sucks for the next 2 weeks, I apologize. I'm preoccupied. There's a baby in my house.
And I'll be in Florida for like
half of that,
yeah.
Luckily, my sister is very, very kind and left the room that we film in to feed the baby while we're recording. So that's...
She was getting fussy and she probably needed a nap.
Oh,
but
yeah.
She's been up since I've been here.
Yeah. I mean, she's already taken like 3 naps already, but, she's 6 months old, so that's normal. She was starting to get a little bit fussy, and I was like, I'm already going to tell everybody that you're here. Like, you don't have to be silent. And she's like, no, it's okay. I don't want you to have to edit her out of her crying. There. So, that's been my week. Oh, also, I got a fresh do. Fixed my hair. I look less ratchet. My mom was really upset that it's still blue, but...
What are you going to do?
If you understood the process of how hard it is to get blue out of your hair, you would realize that when it isn't blue anymore, it's going to be painful.
Yeah, and unless you are covering it up or expecting to go back like 5 times to get it lifted out without ruining your hair, you're going to go darker.
Unfortunately, I've never been a brunette in my entire life.
I think it's going to be a first for you in August.
I don't wanna. Brad Mondo would be so upset.
He really would. He probably loves your hair.
I know. Not many people can pull off white blonde, but...
Yeah, I was one of those people that couldn't pull off normal blonde. My hair just looked my skin complexion just does not work with blonde.
Oh yeah, no. My hair is so white that it's actually gray right now.
Yeah.
Which is perfect. I want to look like Elsa, always.
And after I would, like, fuck around with random colored hair, It would be fun for a bit, but then when it would start to fade and the blonde would start to show through, it just looks so bad. I'm like, dark colors are the only thing that look good on my hair.
That's the
so.
Italian in you.
Yeah, and I hate that. Because I have dark eyebrows. I'm not bleaching my eyebrows for a hair color. I'll shave them off just for funsies, but I won't bleach them for a hair color. I like how that's where I draw the line.
There are some blondes that don't look bad with dark eyebrows.
But because mine are so dark, it's like, I feel like it looks like those girls that used to draw, like, brick brows on with their blonde ass hair.
Me.
So, but that's, like, was what people did in 2016. It's 2021.
I don't
like
feel
when was me going to school, like there would be the blondes who would have like the thick,
I
chunky.
know, but it's funny because you say 2016 like that was like a whole different like like. I mean, granted, technically it's a different decade, but it's like that was 5 years ago.
Which is weird to think about.
It's not. Damn. It's not 5 years is nothing in fashion, except for that the internet makes things weird and I don't like it.
Yeah, like literally trends come and go so quickly when it comes into like style and fashion and stuff like that. Or like certain trends would last almost a whole decade.
You know what trends should die? Low-rise jeans.
Yes, who is so comfortable enough to let their gut hang over
I don't know why low-rise jeans are back in, but I do not appreciate it.
They literally wore them just to, like, show off their thongs underneath. And if that's you, and if you can wear low-rise and they do look good on you, I'm glad that you can work that.
I'm sorry, they don't look good on you. It doesn't matter what your body shape is, doesn't matter what your style look is. Low-rise jeans don't look good on anyone. That's not where your waist is. It doesn't make sense.
It literally cuts your hips, like, in half.
It's stupid. Don't wear them. Yeah. So,
I've been rocking high-waisted anything since that became a thing.
I've only been rocking high-waisted since I got fat, but then I look at pictures of me when I wasn't fat wearing low-rise things and go, who the fuck told me that was okay?
Mm-hmm. Like, the 2000s, man. Like, the Paris Hilton style is just
you don't even know.
Back.
You don't even understand, because you were an infant. I was in middle school. Middle school is the hardest time of anyone's life to try to fit in and be popular because you don't really have fashion sense yet and you're poor. You aren't old enough to have a job. Mm-hmm. So you're just wearing whatever you possibly can to try to look cool.
Yeah.
And I was in middle school in 2003. So no, you can't even begin to understand how the fact that I never was able to afford a Von Dutch hat.
Then there was me in middle school who would wear purple mascara and green eyeshadow because it wasn't allowed to wear dark makeup to school. But I wanted to start wearing makeup, so that's what my mother gave me. And she said, have fun. And I did it.
I got into a fight once because I wore blue eyeshadow.
Why?
This girl told me I looked stupid. Hey, Amber, love you. No, she's really one of my best friends. Oh. It's fine. We were not. We got
I was like, oh, name dropping.
Oh, yeah, no, she's great if she watches this. I don't know if she watches it. Probably not.
But yeah, no, like, because I've seen, obviously, pictures of, like, Paris Hilton style that now the people, which I don't understand, like, middle schoolers nowadays, I feel like have it so much easier because there are, like, 10-year-olds walking around looking older than I do.
I'm sorry, but anyone who didn't have an awkward phase, I wish nothing but misery on your life.
You have to... That's part of the growing up thing. You have to... It's like awkward growing pains. It's like getting picked on. It humbles you. If you never have a chance to be humbled,
we need more
guess
bullies.
What? We need more bullies. But that's the thing is that all the ones that were cool would bully the ones that weren't. So that you had that... Those people were able to be humble and then fit into wherever they wanted to fit.
I mean, obviously, like, no. Like, I'm not saying, like, let's beat people up. Like, there's a line that you shouldn't cross. But, like, now you get, like, suspended from school for telling somebody their eyebrows don't match. And it's like, no, we need more bullies. Thank you.
And, like, if you're gonna, like, going through those, personally, those awkward growing pains of trying to figure out your style and the sense of who you are, legit helps you figure out who you are as a person at the end of the day.
I was not cool. I fully thought I was.
Mm-hmm. See, I was not cool, and I fully knew I wasn't.
But I also wasn't really bullied. No, I wasn't.
Middle school was bad for me.
I might have been the bully, now that I think about it.
Middle school was really bad for me. And then high school came, and I just stayed real quiet, low radar.
Oh, no, I was definitely the bully in high school.
Freshman year, I was like, I'm going in under the radar. I had a few friends. And then I got into theater, and then that's just
I didn't intentionally become the bully in high school. Me and my best friend in high school, so I went to a private Catholic high school, and there was only like 4 or 5 of us in my entire class that had ever gone to public school.
Mm-hmm.
So people were afraid of us because they were like, oh, these scary public school kids. So we like inadvertently became the bullies because people were afraid of us and we didn't know why. But so then because everybody was afraid of us, we fully used that to our advantage.
Yeah. But, because like, that's the one thing with me going to high school. Like, everyone says, like, oh, high school was the worst. Like, high school wasn't fun, but not for getting, like, bullied. Wise for me. At that point,
high school was only not fun because you're going through so many hormonal changes that you hate everything.
Yeah, like, that's, like, the thing that's probably the worst. Like, I know there's other kids at my high school that had it way worse, but, like, I flew under the radar for about my first 2 years there. End of my sophomore year, I started, like, becoming friends with the popular girls, which was really weird. And then, like, I was friends with them, and then being in theater and doing plays and doing stuff like that, and for some reason, theater was a big thing at NFHS.
Yeah, your school theater was not something that you got picked on for.
So, like,
some places the theater kids are the ones who get bullied, but like where you went to school, it was not. If you were on the basketball team or the theater, you were like equally cool.
Yeah,
which is so weird.
And and because like obviously as you're growing and by my senior year, everyone knew who I was. I was never like, I don't want to say I was popular because it's just I was in a lot of things where like, oh, like that's Monica, and I was always a nice person. I never was like a bitch. Yeah. So then, but I was also like, I wasn't friends with everybody. I was just friendly to everybody, and some people got very upset when they didn't get like graduation invites. I'm like, I literally invited 5 friends to my grad party because it was more of a family thing, not a friend thing. And I'm like, I will not talk to a single one of you.
I didn't get invited to your grad party.
You weren't here.
Oh.
You didn't come home till that October, you dumbass.
I was like, where was I?
Yeah, you weren't here.
Oh, I forgot that you're so young.
Yeah, I'm turning 21 this year. In like 2 months. Ew. 2 months today, actually.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that,
yeah, no.
Glad we had this like PSA about.
I was
schools.
like, no, but I was like, what else? Like, have I done? I got my hair dyed. My sister came to town. There was the drive-by shooting.
You went to Anderson's.
I mean, I got custard at 3 different places this week.
Speaking of which one did Bastion like the most?
Okay, my cousin. So anyone from Western New York, we took my cousin to Dee Dee's in Niagara Falls, Hibbard's in Lewiston, and Anderson's. We went to the Amherst location, but Anderson's. My cousin, he said the winner was the Perry's custard at Dee Dee's, but the flavor at Anderson's was the best. It just didn't have the better texture. So overall package, Dee Dee's won, but Anderson's had the best flavor of the 3.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I was like, I can appreciate that ranking system.
Like, I love Dee Dee's custard because it's so thick, but so creamy.
I'm a big Anderson's person. I love Anderson's. Like, I would rather...
Anderson's is really good, too. But also, Dee Dee's is really close and it's super convenient.
I think the thing that I like better about Anderson's is that Anderson's, because it's homemade, they make their own flavors and they change their flavors all the time. So, like, obviously, they always have vanilla and chocolate, but, like, they have so many flavors. Like, they have butter pecan, cinnamon, lemons and cream, all soft serve, banana, and the cinnamon is like spicy cinnamon, like a big red gum.
Oh, yeah.
They've got like butter, amaretto, like a hazelnut Kahlua type flavor. Like they have a custard calendar. So like of their 8 locations, there's a different flavor outside of vanilla and chocolate every day, and they at the beginning of the month publish a calendar that says which stores will have which flavors those days. And their banana custard tastes exactly like a banana Laffy Taffy.
Ooh.
It's my favorite thing on the entire planet.
Because when we took our cousin to Dee Dee's together, They had the orange creamsicle one, which
which is
I
good.
love.
Yeah, but Anderson's has. They have black cherry. They have a raspberry. They have like when we went the other day, they had lemons and cream.
Ooh.
And it's all soft serve. I mean, even their hard ice cream is homemade also.
That's the thing where it's like, yeah, Perry's just like, if you live in Western New York, you know that Perry's has like some of the best ice cream.
Oh, yeah. The problem is Anderson's homemade ice cream is really good, but their custard is so much better that I never get hard ice cream when I go there.
Yeah. And like I can see where Basher was talking about that texture thing,
Yeah.
because obviously if you haven't, like, I don't want to say mastered it, but like have a whole company built based off of.
Well, no, but I mean Anderson's custard. Some people prefer their texture. It's whatever you prefer. I like it better.
If you're ever in the Western New York area, be sure to check out one of those two places because they both have really good ice cream.
Also, if you're from the Western New York area and you listen to this podcast, what is your favorite custard?
Yeah, what's your favorite custard? That should be our post for today.
Ooh.
What's your favorite custard?
All right. We watched episode 7 this week. It was called The Devil's Platform.
Once again, I thought it was about trains.
Right? Every episode's about trains. Only none of them are. Politics can be murder when a senator sells his soul to the devil in exchange for the ability to destroy his opposition. Tom Skerritt guest stars.
I thought that said Tom Selleck, and I thought he looked like Tom Selleck. I probably said that about 6 times before we watched, even when we were watching the episode. I'm like, that's just knockoff Tom Selleck.
It was rated 7.8 stars, which
I think
is
it's
tied for the highest. Let me see. 7.3. Oh, no, 8.1. The Vampire was 8.1, which you still don't understand.
I don't get that, but, like, pop off, I guess.
Okay, so The Vampire was 8.1. Episodes 1 and 2 I forgot to write, but I think they were in the 7s.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one that was 7.8 was The Werewolf.
I don't get it.
This one is 7.8, but I actually do think it deserves that.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely better than The Werewolf.
Yes.
100%.
It was, again, directed by Alan Barron, who... This is the 4th episode. Remember I said he directs 4?
Yes.
This is his 4th. Although this one was stylistically very different than the other 3 he directed.
And I think that had something to do with the storyline of it.
Maybe. I mean, there was definitely still shadow play in this one, but it wasn't as intense as the other 3.
I think it was more so he was trying to do with lighting, especially when we were dealing with the dog.
Yeah.
I think it was his play on lighting, and when Kolchak was in, like, that stone corridor towards the end, I think that was kind of...
like, there was definitely some of it, but...
His episodes were a lot darker in a sense. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's still some shining through, but none of those... But we didn't have, like, some cool, like, silhouette that I think would have looked
Which is interesting, because I don't know how you managed to make an alien feel darker than the devil. Well, he did.
He did that.
The teleplay was written by Don Mullally, who wrote a bunch of the stuff back then, Bonanza, Laramie, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, everything that existed. He probably wrote something. That's what these guys did back then.
Yep.
And the story was written by Tim Mashler, who, again, Hawaii Five-O, Fantasy Island, Starsky and Hutch, like, they're just all those kinds of things. The general, like, everybody's done everything kind of thing.
But there was also, back in the 70s, there was, like, probably a solid of, like, 12 regular shows. And I feel like all the writers just circled in and out.
Yeah, I feel like today, like, when you get hired as a writer for a show, you tend to, like, stay with that show for a while. Mm-hmm. Or, like, if you think about it, of the writers that we had in Hemlock Grove, like, obviously there were a few that were one-offs, but mostly it was, like, this person wrote 5 of the 12 episodes this season. This one wrote 5 of the 12 episodes that season. Like, whereas these shows, it was more of, like, a studio kind of owned the show and you worked for the studio, so you wrote for the show and the show and the show and the show, not as much as you worked for this show. Yeah.
Which I feel like in this day and age, there's a lot of those, like, sitcom-y aspects where, like, one episode was, like, a story of the week type of show back then, that they weren't, not every single one, like, there were some that were plot-heavy, but a lot of them were, like, here's what's happening today in the Brady Bunch.
Even the stories that were more, like, some of them, there was, like, obviously, like, your more, plot-based shows. But even the more plot-based shows, like, that had solid characters that did things all the time, it still had that story of the week kind of element to it. Like, Hawaii Five-O and Starsky and Hutch, like, you had your characters that you were paying attention to and their lives were important, but the cases that they were working on or the situation that they got themselves into that day was, like, different every week.
Yeah, so I feel like having
which
a
is
different
which is,
writer
like,
every week
similar
isn't
to,
terrible.
like the TV crime genre right now.
Yeah.
Like, you look at things like Criminal Minds and NCIS and CSI and that stuff, and, like, we care about the characters. That's why we watch the show. We care about the characters.
Mm-hmm.
But their cases, the things that they're solving, the work that they're doing, isn't necessarily continuous. Like, you'll have
the end of a season.
Right. You'll have, like, story arcs or, like, things that are, like, connected vaguely, and then at the end of the season you find out that there was a whole big thing that connected all of them, but, like, it's like, we care if this character is going on a date or not, but also they're solving a crime that has nothing to do with the crime that was last week.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Our guest stars this week, obviously, Tom Skerritt. That was in the description of the episode.
Big Tom Selleck.
Fake Tom Selleck is so dumb because Tom Skerritt is actually super famous.
No, he is, but, like, it's the mustache, the way he styles his hair, and how closely his name is to Tom Selleck.
Tom Skerritt, for those of you who don't know, was in things. He played. This is my dad's order of the 3 most important things that he did. He was in Picket Fences, which my mom was like, "Oh, I loved him in that show." I've never seen Picket Fences. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what any soap opera show is. That's what that is. It's not. It's most definitely not a soap opera.
Oh, I don't know a lot of old television, so I just
he was in Steel Magnolias.
That I love.
And he was one of the commanding officers in Top Gun.
Yep.
Obviously, I recognized him from Top Gun, but the thing that I recognized him for was there's a show that I watch weird shows. Like, I'll find a show and I'll get really obsessed with it, and then I'll realize, like, it has no following and nobody knows what I'm talking about. But there was a show called Leverage that was basically a bunch of criminals got together and used their, like, criminal skills for good. Like, they would, like, stop. They would, like, run. They would
Suicide Squad.
no, but they
right?
but they would, like, run cons on people, but they were the good guys.
Oh.
So, like, they were all con artists and, like, scam artists, and they would run, like, art heists and stuff, but, like, to steal back an already stolen painting or stuff like that. And he played. I think it was the main character's dad. He played. I know his character. But I don't remember, his character's name was Jimmy Ford. Yeah, Nate's dad. He played the main character's father on that show. And so I was like, oh, yes, no, I do. I know that. I love that show. And they're bringing it back. And it's coming back this month.
Oh, shit. Speaking about really weird and obscure shows that I feel like no one watches, but are in, like, that kind of, like, crime, serial killer type of genre.
Yeah.
When I was at I think there's only 3 seasons of it. I wouldn't mind if we did it. The Following with Kevin Bacon, and it was
that is a good one.
And he was based off of Edgar Allan Poe's work to kill people.
Yeah,
it got a little sloppy at the end of the 3rd season, but it was still really freaking good. Like, that is one that I'll sit back and go, like, I kind of miss a show like that. Like, it was really, really good.
I mean, I do love Edgar Allan Poe more than just about.
And they all wore, like, Edgar Allan Poe mask. No, they wore the lead guy of the cult's mask. Like,
well, it was a cult. The cult was obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe
and would use a lot of his motifs in the way of killing people and leaving different. That's why I feel like you of all people would fucking love that.
So, fun fact: there are only 4 men that I have ever loved more than my father, and those 4 men are William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, Edgar Allan Poe, and King Henry VIII of England.
Wow. And they're all dead.
They're all very dead. Very dead. And I've been to 2.5 of the 4 graves. I've been to Charles Dickens' grave. I've been to William Shakespeare's grave. I went to the palace that Henry VIII is buried in, but I didn't get to go into the grave room because I unfortunately planned my trip really poorly, and I went to Windsor Castle at the same time as the Queen was inside the castle, so they weren't letting visitors in, but it's because she was receiving the Olympic torch. So I got to see the Olympic torch, but I didn't actually get to see Henry VIII's
Right.
grave. But I did go to his favorite palace.
Yeah. At least you're
And-
pretty close to it.
Right.
Though.
And I went to the palace that he lived in. That was his
Oh.
favorite. I just didn't get to see his actual tomb.
Tomb.
And then I haven't been to Baltimore. Well, I've been to Baltimore, but I haven't been to Edgar Allan Poe's grave in Baltimore, but my mom has and sent me pictures.
That's really cool.
So,
Like, I think I may have sent it to you. It's like about being an Edgar Allan Hoe. Like goth girls need to be called Edgar Allan Hoes instead of Big Titty Goth GFs or whatever it was now.
Yeah.
And it was like, how about a nice Edgar Allan Hoe mayhaps? And I was like, I like that one.
So yeah, Tom Skerritt, great. We actually only have 3 guest stars this time, and the other 2 are both very small parts. But Julie Gregg played, I cannot remember her name in the show, but she was the secretary who got murdered.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure if she was a secretary, because I didn't know who was who.
Yeah, so she was the secretary who got murdered, and she was like in a bunch of stuff. Like she was in the original Batman TV series and Hawaii Five-0, Mission Impossible, all that stuff in the 60s and 70s. But she is more well known than most of our guest stars because she played Sandra Corleone in all 3 Godfather movies and the Godfather TV show. Which I didn't know there was a Godfather TV show until I was doing this.
Listen, okay, I'm pretty sure I've seen every Godfather movie once, but all I know is about a horse's head in a bed.
I was going to say,
And
you're
a
about to
gas
get your
station going
Italian card revoked.
I really am. Like, I watched it once when I was younger. My mom will sit there, like, it'll come on AMC, she'll sit there for 9 hours and watch that shit.
I mean, here's the thing.
Can do more
I
things.
appreciate what they did for film.
Mm-hmm.
I
100%.
appreciate the amount of times they've been parodied. I could tell you every time that they've been parodied and everything I've ever seen, I've never seen the movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Godfather character in Zootopia, probably my favorite parody of The Godfather.
Like, and it's not like a bad movie.
No.
It's just first of all, I know for Italians, it's a big thing because it actually captured a lot of the culture really well, I guess, especially for traditional Italians.
Which I am not.
And that's where I come from. So, like, dealing with that, like, yes, it's a nice testament to that. So, my parents will sit and watch that all the time. Whenever it's on, like, a marathon on AMC, they'll sit and watch all of them. Where I'm like, for me, I will appreciate what it's done, but I'm like, I don't want to spend 10 hours. That's why I won't watch Lord of the Rings.
Fair, because I have watched The Quiet Man and Darby O'Gill and the Little People more times than most people have ever even heard of them.
Didn't know that either of those movies were a thing.
Well, one of them is a movie I'm named after, so that's ridiculous.
Which one was it?
The Quiet Man. I'm named after that.
I think that's why I know that the title.
Yeah.
But I've never.
Also, apologies. Last time we were on this podcast and I was talking about The Quiet Man, I said it came out in 1943, and that was not correct.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you told me about that, but I've never heard of the other.
It was 1946.
Other one.
Yeah, no, Darby O'Gill and the Little People is actually a Disney movie, live action movie from back in like the 50s, I think. And 56, 56. What the fuck am I talking about? 1956. That's when The Quiet Man came out, not 1946. Darby O'Gill and the Little People is back from the 50s as well. Sean Connery is in it. He's the main character. And he falls in love with this girl. And I don't actually remember the premise of how this happens, but basically Darby, her father, has to go on this whole, like, quest, and there's leprechauns and a banshee, and it's like all of the very Irish, like, stereotypes, but it's a really good movie, but I remember being terrified of the banshee. Like, the banshee part is genuinely scary.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't doubt it, because, again, the 50s, and, like, having to do things, once again, practically to make shit look creepy, and with, film being
like, the banshee,
darker.
like, screams, and, like, the guy dies, and then there's, like, a horse carriage, like, taking him off to the afterlife. It's, like, dark.
Oh, shit. Well, it was also the 50s in Disney, so, like, but, and, like, another thing, like...
It's on Disney+. Anybody who wants to watch Darby O'Gill and the Little People and know what I'm talking about, it's on Disney+.
Like, the one thing that I've always loved was, thanks to my father, and, like, you have also watched it, because I'm pretty sure your dad showed it to you, was HR Puff and stuff. That was my favorite show ever. I loved HR Puff and stuff.
Okay, and then our last guest star for this episode was Ellen Weston, who played the senator's wife. And she was on Guiding Light for like a year, which is my favorite soap opera, but she played like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one. Just kidding. But she was on things like Get Smart, SWAT, like all of that.
And she had because we had a debate when we first saw her on screen. She had very short hair, and me and Brie liked it. And then she's like, "It looks like a grandma," and I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "But like Blanche Devereaux vibe." She's like, "Exactly, grandma." But did Blanche believe she was a grandma?
No. So this episode was probably the funniest episode so far. The dialogue was A+. We start with like a car going off the road, and like Kolchak's narration over it is like, he was on his way to supper, but little did he know that his last supper was yesterday. It's like, what?
I was like, wow, Kolchak.
At first, before all these things started, well, we have all these like deaths in this explosion, but like
the visual that they used of the explosion,
so weird. The boat explosion was
they showed a boat just like floating down the river, but then it was like like in the middle of an explosion with a clear black screen around it that was definitely not the boat, nor the sea, nor the sky behind it. Like,
what I was confused about, just to start, was why on earth Kolchak was involved in the senator's campaign when all these things were being exploded, because like, we know Kolchak, he will go after the things that he's not supposed to be researching, but he was still going after Palmer. But he said Palmer was a good copy, like, meaning like it was a good story. He was gonna get a good headline for writing about this guy who nobody knew who he was, and all of a sudden he was like running for senator. Then we see Palmer talking to his campaign manager, and his campaign manager is telling him all of the dirty things that he's been caught on, like campaign fund mismanagement and fraud and all of this stuff. And I said, sounds like everyone in America right now. Which Palmer was like, all politicians do it. And I was like, ooh, not wrong. Oh, I have a note about how Kolchak runs really dumb. Like, his running, so weird.
But like iconic at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely looks like he's running on a TV set, because he knows he can't like run out of frame. So he's like, I'm gonna take it slow, but try and make it look like I'm running fast.
Yes. He goes to a gentleman's club to watch the debate.
Oh, but the elevator.
Oh, right. I just skipped the elevator.
Yeah.
An elevator crashes and everyone's dead, but then there's a dog on the elevator, and the dog is not dead.
He just kind of like runs on out at Kolchak, and Kolchak says this line. He's like, when a car runs you over, you can just say his license plate.
He said, "Notes to the pedestrians of America: when you are run over by a wild dog, and you cannot get their plates, take their tags."
That's what it was.
So then he goes to watch this debate, which of course doesn't actually happen because Palmer doesn't show up to the debate, because, spoiler alert, and by spoiler alert, I mean Monica and I both, and my dad, all figured it out in the first watch of the episode. Palmer was the dog.
Yeah. Because this dog is following him, and Palmer was the only one not on the elevator after he got on the elevator. Kind of hard, and now there's magically a dog there. If you put two and two together, he's the dog.
But my question about the gentleman's club was, why is there a payphone in the men's room?
Well, some services, you know what I mean?
Ew.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Women's restrooms, you get tampons. Men's, you get cell phones. I don't know. Payphones. I don't know.
I'm so uncomfortable with that. Then our favorite old lady, Miss Emily, has returned from a trip
with the most convenient things
to Italy. And she has bought Kolchak a new hat because apparently his is too ugly. My favorite is that she bought Tony pasta, but she bought him this artichoke pasta, and she bought it to him specifically because it has less calories than regular pasta, so she was straight calling Tony a fatty.
Yeah. Because it's made with she's like, it's made with artichoke paste instead of flour.
But also, she insulted Tony and, like, complimented him at the same time, because she brought him this pasta and told me he was fat, but then also was like, you should be so proud of your people.
Yeah.
Italy is so beautiful. As if Tony Vincenzo has ever been to Italy.
Exactly. And then her last little thing that she pulls out is, conveniently, holy water blessed by the Pope at the Vatican. So if you're going to try and take down some demonic force, I feel like the Pope has the right power in that to do exactly that.
She's my favorite.
She's so sweet.
Kolchak's being all suspicious because he doesn't know what happened to Palmer, so he goes to his house to ask him some questions, and he meets his wife.
Because he's already sent her to be doing an interview on him anyway, because
Right.
Tony's on his ass to get it
But
done.
the thing about his wife is that she is the sassy. And she is saying all this stuff about, like, you don't ask me these questions, ask my husband, blah, blah, blah. And, like, she's not entirely in the wrong. But all I could think about was the fact that, could you imagine if a political candidate right now's wife answered questions that way?
Oh, they'd be so upset with her.
Oh my god, like, it would ruin their career.
Yeah.
It would
Because
ruin
somebody
people.
would just carry herself with a smile and go, oh, and like... But she was she was saying everything with a smile, but she wasn't hiding her,
Right.
her
Yeah.
tone of her voice.
She
and talking to
literally,
Kolchak.
my favorite, she said, my husband is perfect. And Carl said, oh, I wish I was. She goes, yeah, me too.
And then he was like, and your first name is Linda. She's like, yes, but you can call me Mrs. Palmer. And I was like, oh shit. She said, no, we're not friends here.
Right, but, like, all I was picturing is, like, if somebody was, like, interviewing, like, Dr. Jill Biden, and she responded that way, it would be the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
They would be like, president's wife, asshole.
Exactly. And it would whatever. I think
Like, I don't care.
I'm like, let a woman hold her own.
Personally, my biggest thing is there's this guy I have a crush on who's a politician, and my biggest fear is that I would actually marry him and have to be a politician's wife because this sass is not going to stop.
And that's the one thing where it's like, let the woman be the woman. The politician is the person. Like, there's obviously stuff that, like, happens if it affects, like, directly, but if you're coming asking questions about him that she doesn't feel comfortable releasing, and it's, like, also, like, midnight when Kolchak's there,
Also,
I would be a little sassy, too.
I mean, granted, we're talking about a senatorial race and a no-name person who was not even, like, important yet.
And they're also calling him the people's vote.
No, but, like, no, that's not the important part. So, like, this is a no-name guy who's running for senator that nobody's ever heard of before. But let's be real. If a reporter showed up at a politician's house at night, that would not fly.
Yeah, true.
The 70s, man. What a time.
70s
Oh,
were
I
a
forgot
long
to tell you
time.
guys what day this episode came out on. It was November 15th, 1974. Sorry. It's only important because this episode was all about the senatorial race, and 1974 was a year that there was a senatorial race in Illinois. I was doing a bunch of research about the 1974 senatorial race to see if this was, like, some kind of, like, hidden, this is how we feel about politics. It was not connected at all.
Yeah. But
Basically, political environment in 1974 was that everybody was real pissed because Gerald Ford had pardoned Richard Nixon, and everybody was voting Democrat because they were angry, and most of the races did not have a lot of drama or scandal involved because everybody was just pissed off.
cute.
So, like, this was just for shits. It was not really
Let's just
to...
say the devil is here.
I mean, granted, there have been plenty of times in history where the devil was supposedly involved. 1974 wasn't really one of the most contentious years. So, this was just for shits.
Shits and gigs.
But I mean, it's not like Kolchak doesn't have a political bent. Like, the show and the way reporters versus police officers are positioned in the show is at its nature political. But this was not really like, if you notice, like neither of the politicians in the show were given a party, and neither of them were given any, like, they never talked about what they believed in or stood for, so you couldn't, like, guess which one was the Democrat and which one was the Republican, going by the fact that Illinois was a blue state. Well, it is still a blue state, but Illinois is a blue state, and the senators at the time were Democrats. You could, I guess, say that, like,
they were trying to make the people
that the incumbent was the Democrat and the new guy was the Republican, but also they were calling him the party of the people,
so
which in Illinois, especially in Chicago, would more likely be the Democrats. But like, it was not clear either way, so it wasn't like saying like, this is the party that worships the devil. There was none of that.
Which honestly, kudos to them for
Exactly.
Like,
I appreciated it a lot because it basically was just like, politicians are sketchy ass people, point blank, period.
And like, even with when Tony was like, okay, which political party did you get us in trouble with this time? Who's gonna sue our asses now? He never answered.
There's no answer. Yeah. And like at the beginning, like when Kolchak's doing his narration, he's talking about like parties, how like politicians have been in bed with these people and these people and these people and these people, and like that is not a one party thing. That is a politician's thing.
And he's like, well, this one just happened to get in bed with a different type of dog, and I was like, oh shit.
No, they said he was in bed with the most strangest bedfellow of all.
Oh.
The most terrifying one.
I thought he said something about dogs, but I think that was in his end monologue.
That was in the end monologue. They were talking about dogs. Yeah.
Sorry.
Then Kolchak gets attacked by the dog again, and
the medallion that he took from the first time, when the dog attacked him the first time, he literally the dog sniffs that out, rips open his jacket pocket, and takes it. And then he's trying to run back. I couldn't tell in which direction he was running, if he was running back to the Palmer's house or if he was running to his car. But it looked like he ran the opposite way from when he just came. Not from when he just came, so he was running back to the Palmer house. And then Palmer just comes on out and goes, hi there. And then it cuts to the next scene, and I was like,
no, they talk for a second. Well, no, they tell us what they talk about.
Yeah.
But my note here only makes sense if I explain something that I didn't say earlier. When the Kolchak was in the gentleman's club talking to his friend who ran the gentleman's club, the friend was making jokes, making fun of Kolchak, and he asked Kolchak if he wanted the number for a new tailor, because everybody makes fun of Kolchak's suit. And my note says, guess Kolchak will need that tailor after all.
Taylor. Kolchak was not super pleased he got attacked by the dog, especially when he came back to INS and was just like, so what's happened to my suit? You're gonna buy me a new suit? You're gonna fix up my suit? Fix my suit. He told Tony to fix his suit about 6 times in that one scene.
He was not talking about his suit.
Yeah, because Tony was like, oh, are you so worried about your appearance? He's like, but you're not worried about the story? Because he didn't get the interview yet because he kept talking about his suit getting messed up.
But he was talking about the story. He was talking a lot about the story, and and Tony was just being dumb. Because Kolchak was like, listen, he was there. And Tony was like, where did he say he was? And he was like, he said he was depressed, but he didn't seem very depressed. In fact, he was so calm, he was as calm as Buddha. I mean, like a plastic one, a statue. As calm as a plastic Buddha. That's how I want to live my life.
That will never happen for me.
No. Then we have in a scene where I realized that they make people out to be so stupid on TV.
Mm-hmm.
It kills me. Like, my note is just, what a dumb girl.
Mm-hmm.
So, Robert Palmer meets this girl who was the secretary of his former campaign manager who died in the elevator. And she's like, I know that he had dirt on you. I know he was going to take it to the DA, and now I'm going to do the same thing because you won't continue to have an affair with me. And he's like, how about instead I just kill you?
But my favorite thing was her reaction to a dog prior to attacking her, who was just standing there, and she was like, ah! And then he lunged.
But here's the thing. If, for all of our viewers out there, if you have dirt or proof or facts of illegal activity done by someone who is in power and trying to hurt you,
tell
Don't
them.
go to them and tell them what you're about to do.
And expect for them you to blackmail them because they're the one with the power, and most likely you will end up getting hurt.
Right, like
which is shitty.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like, here's the thing: this guy is already there's already facts and proof that he's done all of these things.
It would open up an investigation without question.
She's like, it's enough to definitely open an investigation.
Then
okay,
do it.
well then open the investigation. Take it to the DA. Do what you have to do.
Because I don't think she actually wanted to. She
just wanted him to love her, and that's why they make girls out to be so stupid on TV. If this guy who is married and sleeping with you anyway has done all of these things, what says good person and great guy to be spending my time with?
Literally nothing. Take that shit and run. Just be like, hey, here you go. Here's the people's person. Wait, do which one?
The people's person. You just called him the people's person.
Yeah. Their guy. People's candidate?
Candidate, yeah. Person is just another people. Like,
the people's people.
Anyway.
So a people eater.
She is screaming because the dog's attacking her, and the cops show up and don't kill the dog. But for the first time in the history of Kolchak, there is an explanation. The cop is like, listen, sometimes we get nervous when we actually have to shoot our guns, but like, we weren't that nervous. This dog just kind of like seemed like he really liked the bullets.
Yeah, he was just like sitting there like, oh, that has a nice ring to it, and then left. Yeah.
But I love that he was like, sometimes when we get our guns out, we get shook. But, like, we weren't that shook. And I was like, thank you for explaining the fact that no one in the Chicago PD can shoot a gun.
Yeah.
Then, because the cops get the dog off of her. She goes to the hospital. She's not dead yet, but then she does die in the hospital. And honestly, I feel like that was just kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
She should have just died.
Exactly, because then they just showed him going back and killing her anyway by, like...
Right, because then also they have a scene of, like, Kolchak talking to this doctor, and, like, he's, like, the doctor and him are, like, having this really good back and forth where they're, like, being quippy with each other, and, like, about their careers and, like, being, like, not understanding technical jargon. And, like, there's some good dialogue in it, but we learned nothing.
Except the fact that she died of a stroke, essentially. Something happened to her nervical system, not nervical. That wasn't even a word, that's not what I meant to say.
It sure was not.
Her nerve system, because she, was it her nerves or was it her, because she said it was something, medical terms that Monica doesn't know happened. So she's like, in layman's terms, she had a stroke.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Medical terms that didn't matter happened.
Yeah.
Like, that whole scene, as good as the dialogue was, it was useless. So they should have just killed her in the park.
Yeah, or that too.
And like, we already knew the dog was Palmer. We didn't need second confirmation of that.
Exactly.
Then we go back to the office, and Kolchak is looking through a book of dogs.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
There are two things about the scene. First of all, Kolchak is looking through this book of dogs like he doesn't know what type of dog this is when it's clearly a Rottweiler. And two, he was like, he has 5 toes. And they're like, oh, well, only wild dogs have. And I don't know how it was in the 70s. I'm not sure if every single person always made sure to clip the dew claw on their dogs. But both of my dogs still have their dew claw.
But a dew claw is different than having a solid 5th toe.
And that's what I couldn't tell because not Robert, what's his face?
Ron. No. It wasn't the dew claw. It was a solid 5th toe.
Okay, because that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Updike made it sound like he was talking about a dew claw because wild dogs don't have them trimmed.
No, but wild African dogs have 5 toes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I just thought he was talking about wild dogs in general.
No. So this scene, my notes about this scene were that I hate that Ron has suddenly gotten so mean.
Yeah. He's not like stupid. I know this, but I'm like also really insecure. He's like, I'm gonna just be an asshole.
Yeah.
Now.
But I also hate that Ron is mean. Because, first of all, Kolchak's looking at this dog book, and he's like, oh, what, the Kolchak family album? And I'm like, okay, unnecessary sass. But then, Kolchak's describing what he saw, and Ron basically is like, you're an idiot, you know this about this animal, and this about this animal, and this about this animal. And Tony comes around the corner and is like, what, is this the zoo column? And I was like, literally, I would be that person who's like, of course it can't be, it has to be a wild dog, because only wild dogs are the only ones with 5 toes. Like, I'm that person.
Mm-hmm. And like the way that Kolchak was describing the dog, yes, but he was also, every time he saw him, was an attack. But, like, you don't just point out those. It was like, oh, he was black and brown, but he also had, like, big bulging eyes. And then Ron goes, it sounds like a mongoloid. And I was like,
Not a mongoloid.
I'm almost pretty sure this. What did he say?
No, he said a mongrel, which is a mutt.
Oh, I thought he said mongoloid. I was like, why would he say a mongoloid? What?
Okay, a mongoloid is a terrible term to use, and it is not about animals.
That's why I was like confused, and I was like,
no, the thing was
Rottweiler.
But the thing is, he didn't. The dog, what we saw was a Rottweiler, but the way Kolchak was describing it was like not actually a Rottweiler. He was just like saying things. And what Ron was saying was that the way he described that was too many different breeds at once, so it had to be a mongrel or a mutt. Okay. And then Kolchak was like, but that doesn't make sense because mutts are always like really friendly, which again,
not necessarily true.
That's part of the whole like breed has anything to do with their like behavior, which is not true because I mean there are breeds that have more aggressive tendencies, but all animals are only as aggressive as the owners let them be. Yeah. So anyway,
that's like, why don't say that pit bulls are terrible dogs.
But I mean, like obviously, a tiger versus a house cat, one of them is going to be more aggressive genetically. Yeah. But if you let your house cat
be a dick,
like scratch things up and kill things, it's going to scratch things up and kill things. Like that's anyway.
Just like if you have a kid who you let kill small animals, you are letting him become a serial killer future on. Like, don't blame the kid. Blame no, I'm kidding. I'm totally fucking kidding.
If your child is killing animals,
get them psychiatric help.
And it's not like
for hunting purposes.
Like if it's not like hunting survival, like you taught them to do it. If they're doing it with like fire or enjoying watching them die,
or like house cats or
like
dogs.
Please get help.
Yeah, you might. Those are like basic warning signs at this point.
But also, usually kids that kill animals have fucked up parents.
So they probably won't get them.
So the parents are part of the problem anyway. Not always. Yeah. There are some people who end up being serial killers who have perfectly decent parents. But like that nature versus nurture thing.
That influences a lot of that shit. I was just listening to this one case from Kendall Ray. I don't know if you watch her.
I don't.
But she was talking about this guy named Fred and someone West. And they had, like, buried, basically a cemetery in their backyard. And they would, like, abuse and beat their kids. And, like, she was also, like, she was a sex worker. And she was doing it in the house. And, like, both of them, like, the husband and the wife, were both, like, sexually assaulted by each of their parents. Like, the dad sexually assaulted the wife. The mom sexually assaulted the son. And then they started doing that to their own kids. And they were killing their kids. It was fucked. Yeah. Go watch Kendall Ray's video on it. It was very interesting, very disturbing. So, like, your discretion advised. But, like, you really deal with that nature versus nurture thing because, like, his dad told him the only way to get anything in life is to find out the sneakiest way to do it without getting caught and basically forcing yourself upon things. Yeah, like, and they were convinced that his father was also a serial killer. They are almost convinced that he was also.
I mean, because, like, you have your people who just have, like, messed up belief systems, like cult leaders and stuff. Like, you have, like, cult leaders and stuff. But, like, even some of the cult leaders, like, there's this cult in Australia where this lady...
I mean, fuck.
It's called The Family. Have you heard of The Family? Yes. Where she, like, was adopting all those kids and stuff.
Yes.
But, like, also, if you look at her childhood, fucked.
But then you have people like Jared Leto who just started a new religion that's oddly, weirdly cultish, and I don't know how I feel about it. Did you used to sign up for a newsletter for him when you got an email for it?
I accidentally, like 10 years ago, signed up for the 30 Seconds to Mars email list, which I don't ever remember actually doing. I was never, like, I like 30 Seconds to Mars, but I was never, like, a huge fan. So I don't know how I signed up for this email list. It was on accident. But I still am on it. And so every once in a while, I'll get a notification that I have an email from Jared Leto. Because it doesn't say 30 Seconds to Mars. It says Jared Leto is emailing me. And then I'm like, this is so uncomfortable.
Weird. Odd. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that little tidbit.
You know. Then we see the actual senator that Ron Palmer, or Bob Palmer.
Robert Palmer.
Also.
They kept calling them Bob and Robert, so.
Guys, okay, spoiler alert if you have not watched Twin Peaks, but this is not really anything about the plot of Twin Peaks, but there is a character whose last name is Palmer. his first name's not Bob. Okay, this is a big spoiler alert. Bob is this like weird demon spirit thing who inhabits the character. But so the character is Bob, but he's also not Bob. He's Mr. Palmer, and so like Bob Palmer, like I keep going, I'm like that can't possibly be right, but then it is right, and so I'm just very confused. Apologize.
Yes, they were calling him Bob or Robert through the whole episode.
But so we see the other senator, like the actual senator who he's running against, and my question
was it Tibbetts? Was his last name?
Talbot. He is played by the most Canadian sounding actor I've ever experienced in my life. I have no idea. I mean, maybe he was just trying to be like Midwestern, but like hella sounded like he was Canadian.
Either Canadian or from
Missouri. In fact, I'm going to look up if he's Canadian or not.
Or Missouri.
That's what I said, Midwestern.
Yeah. Nova Scotia. Like that cute.
Nova Scotia is not Midwestern. It's in Canada. I like to speak with like an Alaskan Canadian accent all the time, and that one was really bad. I do sound like Sarah Palin.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Well,
no, don't.
So sorry.
Don't do that. See, Cody's adopted, but his dad's like actually Canadian. So when he was younger, he would hear his dad have this like heavy Canadian accent. Now he says sorry and like talks like he's Canadian. I'm like, but you're not Canadian. He's like, but here's the thing. I basically am.
Our accent is close enough though that like when I was working,
sometimes you can slip into it.
Yeah, when I was working in Disney, a Canadian family came up to me and they were like, "Oh my God, thank God!" And I said, "What?" They're like, "You're the first person we talked to all day who didn't have a terrible accent."
And also, like, especially being in Western New York, you have, like, the very wide sound, like Skidjackwada, Cheektowaga. Like, you can hear our accent in A noises.
Nope, he is from Wisconsin.
There we go.
Let me tell ya, he sounded
that makes
sense.
So...
Yeah, of course it makes sense, but I was like, he sounds so Canadian. But then he dies.
We're going on about his accent. But yep, then he ended his subscription to life real quick.
Well, he didn't. Somebody ended it for him.
Yeah.
He was unalived, and the Kolchak makes the comment that this campaign is littered with corpses, and I wrote, "Could it be now?" If you know, you know. Everyone who knows anything about Epstein is murdering.
T. Anyway.
Then Kolchak gets some more information about Bob Palmer, and he finds a picture where he's wearing the same necklace that was on the dog tag. So,
the devil!
Case cracked wide open. We don't know it's the devil yet.
Oh. The something!
The dog is something with the man.
Yep.
Something. I don't know. But then he gets all these books about Satanism and finds that it is, in fact, the devil. I love listening to Kolchak try to explain what happens when you make a sacrifice to the Prince of Darkness.
Dude, no, because he ended up matching up the necklace design to, like, basically this one, like, stereotypical...
You know, the Book of Satanism.
Yeah. And with the ram head in the middle, you know, all that fun jazz. And he's like, oh, shit, wait, this is the same thing. So he's running to Tony while also Emily is, like, sitting there trying to explain...
Complain that the elevator
needs to be fixed. And then she's like... And as he's explaining the fact in very jumbled
they're both, like, yelling, and Tony just goes, what is a normal heart rate?
Yeah. And so they're both going back on two different things. And Miss Emily goes... Kolchak, let me finish my thing, then you can get back to yours. And then she finishes off, and Tony's like, that's it, I'm done. And he starts walking out.
Yeah. Then we go back to Palmer's house, and he's having a conversation with his wife, and she is trying to convince him, like, not to continue worshiping the devil, you know.
And he's like, homie, there's not, like, a clause in a contract. This is the devil we're talking about here.
Right, and, like, whatever the opposite of Lady Macbeth is his wife.
Yes.
Like... Yeah. And she's like, please, like, I just want to go live, like, a simple life, run away, like, live in a farm, like, we don't got to do this. And he said, we were living a simple life, and it wasn't enough. And now.
It's too much for me.
So he's like, I have to go.
He's like, you can't even have a simple conversation with me. And he's like,
bitch,
no.
no.
He's like, not without some wine. And that's what he wanted to do. I don't think he was telling her to shoot. So at that
No,
point, he
no,
knew
no.
that.
The wine wasn't for her. It was for the sacrifice.
But he made it seem like it was for the two of them because he obviously knew that Kolchak was there where she had no clue. I think he knew when he was leaving that room what was going to happen that night because he needed the blood sacrifice anyway, and it was like it was planned.
Anyway, he goes to the wine cellar to get some wine, and he apparently needs to hire a fucking cleaner because that was the dirtiest wine cellar I've ever seen.
I'm like, especially if it leads into your like super secret, which has an oddly other secret entrance that's a layer. I don't understand it, but like I saw him walking. I'm like, is that a cobweb or is that like a drape? Then I saw him pick up the wine bottle. I'm like, there was like three layers.
And he deliberately blows the dust off of it, and I was like, that is
disgusting.
Nasty.
Literally, just it takes 3 seconds to dust off your wine.
And then we get to the most confusing moment of the entire episode for me. Palmer is in his weird super secret sacrifice room, and he is
on this like pentagram.
He's like got his wine and he's speaking in Latin, praising the devil, which hysterically is exactly when my niece started crying.
Great.
But on his pentagram that he has drawn on the floor where he is super secret, sacrificing and praising the devil, the circle around the pentagram.
Star.
No, here's the thing. The circle in the book of Satan that they had and the robe that the man is wearing, there are actual symbols that have to do with Satanism on the book. But on the floor, for some reason, instead of copying the same 5 symbols that they have on the robe and the book,
they said they're gonna throw some zodiac signs.
They put all 12 animal symbols of the zodiac and the 9 planetary symbols for reading a birth chart.
It was like looking at a natal chart for the day that you were born. And it looked like you just had a really confusing birth chart.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so it looks like his Jupiter's going into his 5th house right now.
Yeah,
Good to know.
The devil has his Mercury in
retrograde.
Aries.
Oh.
Like, I don't know.
Mercury's in Renegade right now.
In Renesmee?
In Ramen Noodle. Dude, I'm so glad they didn't use that Renesmee doll. They say she's haunted. They have her at Forks in the museum for the movie. We have to go because I want to go see if she's real. Is she like a little Annabelle? That was a lot at once, but I can't believe they had the audacity to make that shit and try and use it.
I can't believe they had the audacity to make that movie.
I mean, like, you're not. I can't believe they had the audacity to make the whole series, but here I am, a whore for it.
So, yeah, apparently believing in your zodiac is also devil worship. Which, honestly, some people will tell you that's true.
Yeah. Which I don't understand why it's stars.
Yeah, but, I, get it, but, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing for me is, we scientifically know that the way the Earth and the moon and the stars move changes the tides in the ocean. And my body is made of 90% water, so why the fuck wouldn't it change me?
Facts. There you go.
Except for the human body is made of 90% water. Mine's probably about 9% because I'm hella dehydrated.
It's 9% water, 87% Mountain Dew. Not Mountain Dew. Dr. Pepper.
Coffee.
Okay, so 50 split. So 40-40, you know.
My interior is made up of coffee or caffeine, candy, and the hope that someday someone will love me.
That's the title of this episode. That was the saddest thing I think I've heard. I'm so sorry.
So then Kolchak is trying to fight this dog. Well, first Palmer is like, Kolchak, do you want to join me in worshiping the devil? And he's like, that sounds like a good idea. Like, do I have some time to think it over? And he's like, nah, bitch, you get right now. And if you say no, I kill you.
Yeah, he's like, you're my blood sacrifice. And he's like, I've sacrificed from lambs.
He's like, I've sacrificed lambs, goats, and, other things. And I'm like, ooh. But you are tonight. And Kolchak says, that's great. I'm going to go talk to my lawyer. And so then Palmer turns into a dog and attacks Kolchak. And Kolchak throws holy water. And
at the corner of the room.
I wrote, Kolchak's aim is about as good as the Stormtrooper police. Because, what the fuck was that?
But then he had a plan. And let the dog attack him to take his necklace
and then he threw the
throw it.
necklace into the holy water so that
He was now stuck
as a dog.
I think because okay.
No, here's the thing. I know, big brain. Actually, no, I just know this because this is how like selling your soul to the devil works. Robert Palmer doesn't exist anymore. He's dead. He's been dead. The devil
was basically using his body.
It was basically like a demon inhabiting his body and giving him the power to shift into the dog and like do all these things. But like once he lost, the devil took him back, like kind of thing.
Okay.
So like I mean. So now this dog, and that's why the dog stopped being aggressive too, because once the demon spirit's gone, it's just a regular fucking dog.
And can I just say, whatever dog they had playing this demon dog, when he wasn't making that weird fucking face to show that he was a demon dog, he was so
The demon dog was 100% a puppet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
like when they closed up on like the actual dog and his big ass brown eyes, I'm like, Kolchak would have been like, bitch, you coming home with me, homie, we're gonna have fun. Like there'd be no way I would leave that dog. I just like, let's go. Come on. I don't care if he tried to kill me, I would take him with me. Because I'm also a little dumb. But
now, my overall thought, my final question is, if it was a few weeks before the election, and both of the candidates mysteriously died and no one could find them,
would that be the second in charge that would come up and stay for...
Yeah, what happens?
Well, they did say that they're like, when, the
governor would appoint an interim senator. Okay, but like that's still like you can't. I don't really know what happens like for the election. Like who does the other party run? Like what do you do? Do they just like?
I don't know. Cause like I wonder if like they just move up the second. In
command people have died during the campaign before, but never both.
I wonder if there's a plan implemented in place for something like that.
Have both candidates ever died in the middle of a campaign? Oh, it wasn't recording. Have both candidates ever died in the middle of a campaign? No, this is just telling me what would happen if the presidential campaign died. Like,
that doesn't help. If you guys know, let us know down below.
Yeah.
If there's any way that because that's actually interesting to think about.
Right, like that was my thought because this episode. I mean, this episode wasn't really like the devil stuff was
very minute.
Very minute. It was.
I was expecting some like cool shit. It wasn't there.
I mean, it was interesting. It was like a fairly accurate idea of what like
I guess the power of what that could be.
Right.
But I was expecting to see some more like weird, like more devil aspect.
But really, the political intrigue was really what it was about, and I loved that. So I was really into this episode. Plus, I think, like I said, funniest episode so far.
Oh, 100%.
But that is my real takeaway. Like, if this happened in real life, what the fuck would happen next?
Exactly. Because, like, if it happened in a presidential debate, would it just be the vice president would now be the president for the next 4 years?
Well, okay, if the
president... I know there's, like, the doomsday event.
Well, here's the thing. If the president dies, the vice president becomes the president.
For the rest of his term.
For the rest of his term, but then there's an election. Okay. So, like, here, if the senator dies and they have, like, I don't know how it works in a secretarial, or, like, in a senatorial office, like, if he has, like, a secretary of his office, like, whatever, like, the person who, like, would take his, right, like, the Speaker of the House, like, in the fact that, like, it goes from President, Vice President, Speaker of the House, like, I don't know what the order is in a less important office is. Not that senators aren't important, but what does that mean for the election? And the thing is, because the interim person would fill out the rest of the role, the rest of the term, but that doesn't necessarily mean he would want to run as a senator. So I don't know. It's complicated, and I don't understand enough about it. And if you're listening to this outside of America, that is all very confusing for you, and I'm so really sorry. But yeah.
And that was this week's episode, which I think was really good.
I loved it.
I thought it was really, really good. The trivia.
I have some weird things in my Google search right now. My dad took my phone and was like Googling something, and then I was looking up a restaurant menu, and my like Google search is very strange right now. I had the trivia pulled up, but then
until you try to find out the president.
No, and then I Googled what I wanted for lunch.
Oh yeah.
Dinner. I don't know what time it is.
It's 4:19. No, 23:19.
It's not 23:19. That would be 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Um,
11:19 p.m.
Goofs. Continuity. When the candidate and his campaign manager get on the elevator, the car is crowded with both men having to stand at the front by the doors. After the elevator falls to the basement and the doors are forced open, half of the passengers are gone with enough room for the remaining people to lie on the floor and not on top of anyone else.
How convenient.
Factual errors. When Kolchak is viewing the two cars involved in the wreck, there is old rust visible on the damaged areas. The cars were obviously damaged longer than actually implied.
Cute.
In the beginning of the show, when the elevator is crashing, the internal button lights are going the wrong way. In most U.S. elevators, the button numbers go upwards in increasing floor numbers. If the elevator is descending, the button lights should have been descending order as well, not ascending as shown.
Okay. I really wouldn't have known that because now it's just a digital number that moves and not the cool little thing in most elevators that I go into.
Yeah, but like the button, it's not the buttons on the side where you press like what floor. When they were lighting up, they shouldn't be lighting up in the opposite order of the floors you're on.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I thought you were talking about when they were showing the floor numbers.
No. Yeah, button numbers go upwards. Yeah. The story is taking place on multiple dates in August. When Kolchak is in the bar, the Chicago Cubs are playing the Boston Red Sox. In the 70s, this would only take place if it were World Series games, as the teams are in different leagues, which would place the game in October. In addition, Kolchak refers to it as election season, which would also be fall and not during midsummer, as the election would be held in November.
Yeah.
Revealing mistakes. The first automobile explosion is supposedly driven by one of Palmer's rivals, but the vehicle is a 1930s roadster with spoked wheels, which is an obvious use of antique footage. Like they just took old stock footage of a car.
Oh, exploding. Yeah. Well, I think we saw that when it came to that boat.
No one is able to identify the dog in the show as being a Rottweiler. This is exceptionally odd, as they were common types of pets even in the 1970s. Miscellaneous. During the end credits, Ruth McDevitt's character name is listed as Edith Cowles, when in actuality she plays Miss Emily Cowles. Her name is always listed on the credits as Edith, but in the show it's always Emily, so I'm not really sure.
Unless Edith is her actual name, but they just call her Miss Emily because that's the column that she writes for. Because she has the Miss Emily column. That would be my only...
But they call her Miss Emily. Yeah, I don't know. Errors in geography. During the attack in the park, eucalyptus trees are visible in the background, which cannot grow in Chicago.
Yeah, that's also what koala bears eat, because they're all smooth-brained little animals. I know. I love them, though.
In the intro, when various rivals of Palmer are killed, the second victim is described as sailing his yacht on Lake Michigan, but the yacht has a French flag. Character error. Ron says that no domesticated dogs have 5 toes and that only wild African and Asian dogs have 5 toes, but in fact, many domesticated dogs have 5 toes, including Shepherds, Rottweilers, Yorkshire Terriers, Poodles, Mastiffs, and St. Bernards. The adaptation is generally environmental in rough terrain, as the 5th toe provides extra traction.
Oh.
I did not know that, actually.
I didn't know that either. And the one dog that they said, hey, Rottweiler. So I guess I did do their research.
Not really. I don't know what they're talking about.
That's fair. I was trying to give them, some...
Trivia! When Kolchak looks at the wrecked car and is told that the driver survived... Oh, yeah, because when Talbot died...
Oh, yeah.
It was in a car crash, but then the other car...
Had no driver.
And told the driver survived. He replies, Lee Petty couldn't survive a crash like that. Darren McGavin played Lee Petty in 43, the Richard Petty story.
Oh, that's actually pretty funny.
Kolchak asks if he will be required to sign his name in blood, and Palmer answers yes. This is in keeping with the short story The Devil and Daniel Webster and the opera Faust, where contractees with the devil sign in blood when agreeing to sell their soul.
I feel like that's just been a trope that's stuck ever since then.
Devil Dog, The Hound of Hell, 1978, was originally intended to be a sequel to this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Tom Skerritt, who plays a man who sold his soul to the devil, later played William Shatner's brother in The Devil's Reign, in which he fights the devil.
Wow, talk about full circle.
The $2 that the postman charges Kolchak for the postage due comes out to $10.37 in 2019, adjusted for inflation. And this one is the dumbest trivia I've ever seen. The show was filmed in Chicago. Actually, no, that's not dumb. this is the first time that the full show, was filmed in Chicago. Darren McGavin, who plays Kolchak, also starred in Raw Deal, which was filmed on location in Chicago.
Hey, thanks for telling me this.
Okay.
Well, that was this week's episode of Kolchak, the Night Stalker, called The Devil's Platform, which once again, we should have a little game called Is It About a Train or Something Completely Different?
The answer will probably be that it's never about a train, even though I want it to be.
Yeah. Could you imagine like a murder train? Like, have you ever seen, what's it called? Terror Train with Jamie Lee Curtis. It was like her. It was in 1983. It was after. It was either after the first Halloween came out or the second Halloween came out, and it was like one of her like next big roles in another horror. That's where she became the Scream Queen from. It's actually really good. It is a really good show.
Is sitting over here acting like Murder on the Orient Express is not the most famous fucking murder train in the history of mystery novels / movies.
Mystery novel, 100%. I like. Don't get me wrong, I love.
She said, "I want a murder train," and I really thought she was gonna actually be a big brain for once and say something about Murder on the Orient Express, and then she started talking about who knows what.
Okay, so because I like terror. You know, I'm slasher. I'm no only like murder mystery. It's like Clue. No, I don't mind murder mystery, but yes, Murder on the Orient Express is very good. I will 100% give it to you. But
question. Are you talking about only the movie, or did you read the book?
I never had to read the book, but I've seen the movie.
Which one?
Both. The original, and then I saw the one because Johnny Depp was in the other one.
Yeah. Okay, no, because I was gonna say. I mean, the new one is good. It's very good, but
it's once again originals.
Yeah.
Do it better.
Yeah. Also the book better. Anyway.
That's just also almost like a given. It's like, yeah, a movie's good, but when you have a book that could be almost like a 20-hour.
It's not a very long book.
Really?
Yeah.
How many pages is it?
I don't remember exact page numbers, but Agatha Christie didn't write like
super long.
Her books are like this big. They're not big books. I mean, she's written she has written, but also can't you really use has written because that is a verb tense that involves the fact that things are still being written and she's very much dead.
She has wrote.
No, she wrote.
Oh, she wrote.
A lot of books. If you know what would happen in the senatorial race, comment below.
And also let us know, which you probably already should have by now because it's been an Instagram post, if you're from Western New York, what your favorite ice cream custard is. Or if you're from anywhere.
If you're from anywhere and you have like a place that makes homemade custard, let us know so we can, like road trip and eat ice cream.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun-ass road trip.
Yeah. But yeah, like, subscribe, I don't know.
Comment. Do the normal YouTube
Do those things that you're supposed to do when you like things. Rate and review. I don't know. I'm really bad at this.
You can follow us on Instagram at Death and Aliens. I almost said .com, which doesn't exist, but you get the gist. That's also our Twitter handle as well as Instagram.
And you can email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com. But also, I remembered something else that's very exciting that happened this week.
What's that? Oh, we got a normal comment on the Instagram.
Well, yeah, but no. For my reality TV friends out there, Big Brother, it returns on Wednesday. And one of my friends is on the show, and I'm so excited.
Yup. And a Western New York native. Yeah,
Obviously. She's from Niagara Falls, born and bred.
Mm-hmm. Brittany D'Angelo.
Love her.
So
she's gonna be super obnoxious on TV. She has a very, very big personality.
She's very nice.
No, I adore her. She's my friend. But she has a very big personality, and I have no idea how that's gonna come off on TV.
And you know that when it comes down to TV and editing it, like I feel like when you're watching the 24-hour footage, like the behind the scenes, you're gonna see more of who she is versus like when they are editing it for entertainment purposes.
She is gonna get.
You're either gonna love her or hate her.
That's the thing is, that's what I said on Twitter, like to my friends. She's either going to be the best part of the show or the worst part of the show. Her edit is going to be interesting.
But I feel like a lot of people in the Big Brother community watch a lot of 24-hour footage.
Oh, for sure.
So hopefully they'll be like...
I don't because I don't have time for that, but I do follow all the people on Twitter who do and tell me what happened.
Yeah, and like, that's when you have to like... Almost, I feel like with Brittany, it's gonna be like see what it's like when she's not being edited into seem like a certain way, because you know they're gonna fucking do that shit and mooch that shit up.
Oh my god, I love it.
But
I cannot wait.
I haven't watched Big Brother in years since my dad lived here with you guys, so I think I might have to come over
I've watched
Wednesday to
every
watch it.
season of Big Brother and Big Brother Canada.
I'm gonna have to come over Wednesday to watch it with you guys.
I won't be watching it on Wednesday. I'll be at work. Brie and I are watching it Thursday morning.
I'll come over Thursday then.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't watch it live because I work. Rude.
And we'll watch the episode of Kolchak after Big Brother.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, because I'm gonna go to a concert Thursday night, so we're gonna have to do it during the day Thursday anyway.
Boom, play it. Boom, booyah. Anyway,
you can follow me on Instagram at EMKAY_superstar.
and you can follow me on Instagram at monica.lynn_, and you can follow me on Twitter at mod_lynn_.
Oh yeah, my Twitter's the same as my Instagram. Whatever.
I have not been able to have mine be the same, and I don't know why. I'm gonna possibly go and change it, so if it's changed to anything, it'll be the same thing as my Instagram. If it hasn't been changed to anything, it's the one I just said here.
Yeah, so, we will see you
Later.
next